is, quote, no more after the US and Israel launched major strikes on the capital, Tehran, and several other Iranian cities. I think that's what the calculation now is. Regime preservation. Could you get a more pragmatic figure presiding over this regime? Sure.
Aaron, I just want to break in for a moment because we're looking at live pictures in the air over Tel Aviv.
Iran's supreme leader reportedly had already prepared successors. Iran's IRGC had already prepared successors for the top commanders of their military, understanding that if a war erupted, these would be the individuals targeted in such a conflict. And so this isn't over. This is actually just beginning. But it does raise questions about the future of the region and where things are headed once this does conclude.
Holy mother. Vas-y, j'ai envie de dire à Sarah de descendre, on se casse.
The security of our allies in the Middle East. We have a range of defensive capabilities in the region, which we've recently strengthened. Our forces are active, and British planes are in the sky today as part of coordinated regional defensive operations to protect our people, our interests, and our allies.
Meanwhile, Iran's foreign minister telling his allies in the region, or who he thought were his allies, that he is going to be counting on them to counter the United States and Israel's attacks. Here's what he just said. We have new sound from Aragachi in an interview.
Well, there is no communication right now. But if Americans want to talk to us, they know how they can contact me. We are certainly interested for de-escalation. This is not our war. This is an imposed war against us. This is a war of choice by the United States, and they have to pay for that. And they do.
First of all, this is a big deal. Khomeini's dead. It's like Hitler was killed or killed himself. This is a big deal. Now, we do know how this government is created. There's been many papers written on this. It runs like the mob. He created a government that is loyal to him. He made all the calls, all the shots. So you have these guys negotiating over here. They had no control over anything. And while they were negotiating, we're making progress, he was giving a speech in Farsi saying, we're keeping our nukes, we're keeping our uranium, we're keeping our ballistic missiles, and that is that. And this is what they do. That's number one. Number two, he had a successor. It was his son. And we believe his son was killed too.
And what's different about this operation, Brian, from what we saw last summer, is the mission objective is very defined here. The scale of escalation is much more intense, but the mission is Israel is targeting Iran's leadership. The U.S. right now is targeting the missile defense system. So we look at that. We know that Iran has not yet gotten a long-range intercontinental ballistic missile that would reach the U.S.
It's estimated it would take to 2035, but they're en route to doing it.
They're trying to do it in the U.S. President Trump wants to make sure they never get it. But what they do have is a stockpile of some 1,000 to 3,000 possible short-range and medium-range ballistic missiles. And you can see on our map here, the very short-range ones obviously going about 200 miles. Already, Iran in these early hours have hit in the Bahrain. They targeted our Fifth Fleet. They've hit the UAE. They've launched missiles at Saudi Arabia so far. No casualties, but obviously Iran is striking at the entire region, hence making this, as Trey East reports, regional.
Air raid sirens have been ringing out across parts of Israel as Iran launches retaliatory attacks. The IDF has confirmed the country's air defense systems are intercepting missile threats. Israel's prime minister says he's working with the US to allow a regime change in Iran.
I would like to thank President Trump for his historical leadership, and I would like to thank him and bless him for this close collaboration. It has truly reached a record of all times, an alliance in peace and in war. And this war will bring about true peace.
Air raid sirens have also been heard in Kuwait, the United Arab Emirates, Qatar and Bahrain.
The War Powers Act of 1973, every administration, Democrat and Republican, have believed that that is utterly unconstitutional. Congress and the president have not brought this matter before the Supreme Court because they don't really want it resolved. Yeah. But when I watch Democrats come on and say, this is unconstitutional, this is an illegal war, and we keep quoting this guy, Massey? Massey is an extreme libertarian. Or Rand Paul, an extreme libertarian. Or what's this guy, Ro Khanna? Ro Khanna is a pure Trump hater. These aren't constitutional experts, in my opinion. They're not even serious people. The president has every bit of constitutional legal authority to do exactly what he is doing. And by the way, notice, who took out Khomeini? Who's taking out the leadership? Who's assassinating them? The Israelis. Why? Yeah. Because it's a question under American law whether you can do it.
Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu also confirmed the assault in a separate video message. Sirens were heard throughout Tel Aviv and Jerusalem as Israelis took shelter underground. Hospital patients, including babies, were moved to a protective area. Iran has launched its own retaliatory strikes, targeting Israel and U.S. bases in the region. This explosion was seen in Bahrain, near a U.S. naval base. And smoke could be seen in Doha, the capital of Qatar, a U.S. ally. In the run-up to the strikes, the U.S. military moved over a dozen naval ships and aircraft toward the Middle East as the Trump administration waged a pressure campaign on Iran and engaged in indirect nuclear talks with Iranian officials. The Omani foreign minister, who is mediating the talks, spoke to CBS's Margaret Brennan Friday.
I am confident and in my assessment of the way the talks are going.
But now Trump is telling military members and police in Iran to lay down their arms.
You must lay down your weapons and have complete immunity, or in the alternative, face certain death.
And you remember, in Isfahan, Natanz, Iraq, Fordo, the main nuclear sites, they were hit. We were told they were set back years, but we also have reports, it appears, that Iran never stopped trying to enrich uranium and build a bomb.
It wasn't accurate for Steve Witkoff to say they're a week away from a bomb. They got to stay away from saying things that aren't true. They were starting to rebuild their nuclear capabilities while negotiating, as we say, down to zero enrichment. They yesterday were saying, we might do zero enrichment for 3 to 5 years. That's the type of verbal gymnastics that's been stringing this along through presidency after presidency.
But that's a great point, Brian, because it wasn't the Iranians didn't specifically say that. We saw Oman's foreign minister sit down in an interview with CBS, a guy named Badr al-Udayasi. He said that they were willing to do this, but Iran didn't say it.
And even if they didn't say it, we said without sunset, this is permanent.
And that's why President Trump and the administration said, you didn't come and meet us at that demand, so we don't ultimately know exactly what they are doing, despite what Oman's foreign minister.
All right, so let's take a look.
And we're going to say, we need an off-ramp? We're going to stop and say, well, maybe we can negotiate victory or complete surrender without conditions. That's why we have our men and women on the line, their lives on the line. That's why the Israelis have their men and women, their lives on the line. It's time to get this over with right now. If I would have told you a day ago that Khomeini would be dead, that in fact the response has been fairly anemic, that the so-called moderate Arab countries would be ganging up on Iran, if I told you that so far as we know not a single American casualty is taking place, you'd tell me I'm drinking something or I'm smoking something, that it's not that simple. It's not that it's that simple. This is one of the most brilliant military operations, perhaps ever, when we learn all about it. We're having enormous success with our Israeli partners. The Arab countries have turned on Iran. What does Iran have? They don't have an air